right, guys, welcome back once again for the grand finale of the Bill Kopp Extravaganza.
I hope it's not the grand finale because it's not an obituary.
Yes, exactly. It's the grand finale of things to this point in time.
Yeah.
So it's the part 4 of the Bill Kopp Extravaganza.
If you've listened to all of this, if you've had the actual patience to get this far and really, really sit there and listen to all this, then kudos to you. And then it is the grand finale for you.
Mad props, exactly. And so only on the Chance Raspberry podcast, we are back with Mastermind Bill Kopp. And when we last left off, the insane cliffhanger was that we had just entered the dark times.
Yeah, that was really weird. So that was the end of Mad Jack, and I love the story, like, because Jeffy and I were in the Philippines,
right?
And then that's where we were when we heard, like, and they were like, "Come home."
And what were you guys just business as usual working on the show there?
Well, the truth is that we didn't even really have to be there, but we went there because we were still, finishing up the first season of Mad Jack, and there were things to do, but we could have easily done it from hell. But I loved the Philippines so much because I'm a scuba diver. You know?
Nice.
And we just always had such a good time when we were there. So we just told Fox, like, oh yeah, we got to be, and they bought us, they paid for it and everything, and we went there, and then I, that's when Chaim killed the show, Mad Jack the Pirate, and and then we got that horrible phone call. It was like, come home,
And you knew why already, like they explained.
Yeah, they said the show's canceled.
Okay.
Get your ass back here. Wrap it up at the hotel. But I mean, it's not even that. I mean, even though I had all that stuff with Savage and everything, but Jeffy and I, you got to remember, Jeffy and I had been together for 5 years now.
Yeah, okay.
So we just had this thing, and we just figured Mad Jack was just going to go and go. It was such a great show, and it could have gone into so many areas. Had Margaret still been at Fox, it probably would have kept going.
Cool, okay.
And life would be different for everyone right now.
Okay, wow.
So, but that wasn't to be. So.
Right,
And then we had that awful flight back.
How many hours was that, Bill?
Like 11.
Wow, okay. Yes, just.
And I remember coming back, too, because, like, they had a thing in the airplane where, when the movie wasn't showing, it was like a map of the world. And it would show you, like, where you were, and it would have a red line. So coming out of the Philippines, it had a red line. And you couldn't even see, where you were going. It was just all blue.
Okay, wow.
And so when the movie projector thing broke.
Oh, man.
So all they could show was this horrible red line of just this endless, this dot just going like at a millimeter an hour. And it's just like, dude, you are here now. And it's like, and then pretty soon the west coast of America showed up. It's like, we're going to be back in 7 hours.
Wow, it's like, we've almost reached like a normal plane.
And then when you land, you're actually back before you left.
That's crazy, man. What does your brain do? Are you just like...
Well, that's jet lag, right?
Yeah, you're just going like, oh my gosh.
So if you left at 9 o'clock at night, you get home at... How does it go?
Yeah.
5 the day before? 4 hours before you left? Something like that. It's all fucked up.
Yeah.
It takes you forever. Going there is not so bad.
Okay.
Coming back was just like... I always thought it was kind of a myth, jet lag, but it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I've never gone anywhere that far, but that's crazy, man. So you had this whole flight back, and you guys were just thinking about it the whole way, or were you talking about it?
Oh, we were talking about it. I'm sure we were drinking about it. It was just the end of the, and then it was like, what are we gonna do now? I mean, there was no. At that point, we were so, I think, confident in Mad Jack that we figured, well, this is just going to go on. Because that's what it really looked like.
Yeah.
Even though Hyman gave us a hard time, so it still was like, the show was so funny, but I think we were always kind of secretly being sabotaged, too, by, they wouldn't promote it the right way, not like Margaret used to do, like on Eek especially, or even Disney. It was like, there were just certain things they should have done on that first season when it started airing that they didn't do, and
Okay.
we were always wondering if there was like all the time Chaim was sort of planning on killing, which of course he was, you know.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, so then it got really bad. It was just like coming home, and it was a drag, and for the first time ever, I think I didn't have another show ready.
Okay.
Because how many years?
Yeah, what, like, it was at least 10 or 15 years of just
like
a solid...
From 80, let's just call it 85, to, like, fall of 99.
Yeah. 14
you know,
years.
And it's not that I didn't have a break. I mean, I always took vacation. There was always places where you could get away and recharge and all that stuff. But it was always show after show after show.
Right.
So I just thought that's how life was supposed to be.
And it was great, man. Things were overlapping and flowing.
And I always had another idea. And then for some reason on Mad Jack, I think I was so, you know, enraptured with that show that I never took the time to go like, oh, well, this is going to be over, so I'll do another thing. And I just thought it was going to go on. It was bad. It was like, so to suddenly stop.
Yeah.
After 15 years of like show after show after, I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time.
Oh yeah, man.
I don't even think I know anybody else except for maybe a couple of people that have like had a run.
It's like a lifetime. It's a whole career pretty much right there, you know. And
God, I hope not. Yeah.
Well, here's what I was thinking. I mean, like, there's certainly more to the story from this point on, of course. But I was just thinking about this the other day. If nothing had ever come after that, what a crazy run, man. Still, to have had all those things in a row.
I know, and you look at there's been a lot of great shows, but a lot of times, you know, and hey, listen, truth is, you're lucky if you get one.
Right.
That you can call your own.
Amen, man. Yeah, and that's like something that keeps me in check, and I think will keep everyone else in check.
And that kept me in check too when I really thought about it, as depressing as that was to come back here and just like, oh my God. And when I didn't look at it for a few years that way.
Okay.
Because I had to go through a lot of other stuff too.
It took time.
Yeah, but and even now it helps me out to think back and go like, you know what? If I got hit by that bus tomorrow, I'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
You know, yes, there was more, but, you know.
Well, cool, man. See, and that's a great way to look at it. And it really is, man. It's staying positive. And so then, after this drought, if you will, what happened next?
Well, when everything kind of stops like that for the first time, really ever, except for, you know, like... Natasha and I, that was my wife at the time, we had a great time. We would always find places to break away and go. There was no shortage of vacation fun. You know, we'd get away for a week here and whatever. I don't want to make it sound like it was just like a constant working thing. But it was like a show. One show, as soon as one show ended, the other one was already getting ready to go.
Cool, okay.
So there was still punctuation and breaks that just for sanity's sake.
Nice.
But I always knew that it was going to start up again, like, in 10 minutes. It's like, okay, let's go to Hawaii for 10 days and scuba dive, and then, you know, when we get back, then I'll be ready. And that was about enough for me. 10 days back then, that was like, of course, now it'd be like 30. Or maybe 300 would be good.
Nice, man. That sounds great. It also Hawaii for any amount of time,
yeah,
right?
Hawaii is the best.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
But it was, the idea was like those little vacations were fine and dandy for 10 days, but I was always itching to get back to work. So when all of that stopped, like, and I wasn't the one saying to stop it, that would have been different too.
Yeah.
You know, if you're calling the shots.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm stopping. That's a whole different thing. It's like when someone else says, stop. It's like...
What?
You're not the boss of me.
You're right.
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, wow. Yes, you are.
That's right. Dang it.
God, you are the boss of me.
So
it was a very weird adjustment to and not have another show ready to go for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And to just have it all stop. And I just didn't know how to act. You know?
Okay.
I was like really freaked out by it. And it was okay, I guess, for a little while.
Yeah.
but it was like, I don't know, man. I don't want to. I guess maybe it was kind of a dry spell or something. I don't know. It was like. Plus, I kind of like woke up too. It's like, oh wait, I'm a married guy. I live in a, you know.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't have time to think about relaxing or a life or anything before that. I don't want to make it sound like I was some big star or something. It was just like, I was fucking busy.
Right.
And I was very used to that. And
Yeah.
for 15 years, anybody would get used to that, you know.
Yeah, man, that's a long time to be doing that.
So when the rug got pulled out, it was a shock to the system. So
Yeah.
I think I kind of didn't really deal with it all that well. And then I started, I don't know how much time went by, but I think it was around, I think it took like 2 years.
Okay.
Into 2001 where I finally felt like I was fresh again. And I was like, okay, start writing. Well, I think we did the Tales from the, oh no, we did that way earlier. That's right. But there were other ideas and things, and I was starting to think about, like, even writing little books or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, if we can, for just a second, I'm not sure we ever really got into Tales from the Crypt. How did that happen? Did they just come to you and say, we want you to do...
But that was still in the good old days. That was like 90... I had just gotten married, so that was like 95.
Okay.
And I know, that's how weird it got. That was like a special little thing that happened in between, you know, Eek and Shnook... almost during Shnookums, I think it was like
okay,
something like that.
Yeah,
But I'd had that script for a while.
Oh,
so.
Cool! Oh, sweet. So you had already sort of like, and you had just written it for fun, not for Tales from the Crypt.
No, I had written it for Tales from the Crypt, and I was pestering, and I can't remember. See, there's all these names that I don't remember now, and if I took a second, I could probably think of it. But now that we're talking, I can't.
Yeah.
But no, I bugged that guy for ages.
Cool. Okay.
All the way back to Tasmania. Anyway, but that's not important. I mean, yeah, we did that too. But what's important now is like 2000, where all of a sudden it was like, after all that action-packed, nonstop work, and just like fun, and just you know, just like if I never had a time to even think about, you know, having a life or, you know what I mean? It was like, it just didn't occur to me that. I mean, that's what I was energized by. It was all that work, and when it stopped, it was just like.
Yeah. Wait a minute. So what happens?
What do
next?
people do? And you know, there was enough. You know, we were comfortable, so it wasn't like a horrifying thing at first. You know, it was kind of just like, what do you do all day long?
Yeah.
What do people do?
Yeah, exactly, man. That's really...
What do people do when you don't have when you're not making a show?
Yeah, exactly, man. Very relevant and just like thought-provoking. And so you were forced for the first time to kind of examine...
Be human.
Yeah, okay. Nice, man. And that went on for how long?
Thankfully, not very long.
Okay.
Because I'm no good at it.
And you so then like maybe like
I started putting pitches together.
Okay.
You know, and there were enough fragmented. I mean, the good thing about making a show is like you get to work with all your knucklehead buddies. So there's all these fragments of brilliant ideas that are just that you think of while you're at lunch. You know, it's like, oh, we should do that thing. I mean, blood chimp or whatever it is. You know, it's like stuff just pops up. So I think it was. Instead of having a show that I was thinking about doing after Mad Jack, it was like, well, wait, let's, you know, crack open the sketchbook and look back at like, well, what were all or open a box from some of the studios that I've been in and dig through all the shit that I took off my walls after 2.5 years of production. You know, there's 1,000 million weirdo drawings in there, you know.
Nice, man.
So I started kind of assembling that stuff, and I was putting together pitches.
Okay.
And some of those ideas have turned into things now, but it was like, so I was kind of like hitting the pavement.
Okay.
And that's when I realized too, it's like it had changed since I'd had all that run.
Okay.
Because now it was like, you know, I felt like I was selling like, you know, like the Fuller Brush Man or something.
Yeah.
Hey, have you thought about making an animated television show? Let me show you what I got here.
That's
excuse
great.
me, miss. And she's like, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I was like, oh, all right, on to the next one. By golly, I'm a salesman. And it was like being a salesman. It was like...
Wow, okay.
And nobody was biting at all, and it was just... And I remember going home, too, like... And I had big... I remember one day in particular, and I... Whatever, this is the truth, so here it is. Like, I'd done like 5 pitches in a day, and from everywhere from Warner Brothers to HBO.
Okay.
And I had like a rack of things, probably 4 or 5 show ideas.
Nice.
And just... Everybody was like... You hear that famous thing, it's like... Oh my God, your stuff is great, and we love you, you know. But, yeah, we can't really do anything right now.
Oh my gosh.
But we so want to work with you, and we so love your stuff.
There's a piece of paper on, like, every single person's office somewhere that says that exact line. When all else fails, quote this. You hear it everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So, you heard that.
You're great.
Yeah.
And I love your stuff. And it's just right now we're in a thing.
It's so true.
But you know what? I had never heard that before.
And the thing is, like you said, the industry had changed. It had at least started to change.
But I'm not like, you know, I'm not a Harvard business graduate, and I just poked my head out of a place that I'd been in for 15 years. So hearing that was like a total shock to me, and I took it real personally.
Okay.
It was like, well, is that it?
We're not going to talk anymore?
I'm done?
Yeah,
you know, am I all ready? Should I go to Graceland now and die in a toilet? Whatever. It's awful.
Well, but yeah, man, so you hear this, and you had gone, so this was one day you'd done 5 different pitches at all these different studios, and they had all said no.
Yeah, and I came home and I was talking to Nikki about it, and I was feeling really bad. And up to then, I made it look so easy, and everybody around me just figured, oh, well, that's pretty good. You just come up with nothing.
Okay. And
we had this talk, and God love her, she was trying to help me, I know. But she said, she's like, and I know she meant it one way, and I took it another. But she was like, maybe you're just not trying hard enough. And I think what she was saying was like, that's what a coach would say. It's like, you know what? You're not focusing right, and you need to try harder.
Yeah.
But what I heard was like, you're just not trying hard enough.
Okay, yeah.
And it freaked me out, and I was like thinking, well, you know what? You sit up there and
try it.
Dream it up out of thin air. See how far you get,
Totally.
It was like that. So already my attitude sucked.
Okay.
And it was starting to affect everything.
I see.
And so then, it just was a really bad, hard time. And finally, though, the light at the end of the tunnel was getting on to Warner, where Christopher Keenan showed up at Warner Brothers.
Nice, okay.
I don't think I had ever met him before that. And so I pitched him all this stuff that I had.
Cool.
And we just hit it off right away. And he's still, to this day, a great, we're still doing work together.
Nice.
And so he took a chance on me, and I think he looked at, he's like, this guy still got something, I don't know what it was. So we made a development deal at Warner Brothers.
All right.
We did develop a couple of shows, and then that's what, none of the things we were actively developing turned into something, but it did turn into the Looney Tunes shorts.
Nice, okay.
So then we get into 2002, and that's where I met Dan Povenmire and Kyle Mankey, and
excellent.
2 guys I had never met before.
Yeah.
Who turned out to be awesome.
Sweet.
So, but that too was sort of a cursed project in a way.
Okay.
It just never panned out. We made a few of them, and it was a lot of fun. It was like 2 years of... It was kind of like back to normal in a way.
All right.
It felt good, and but they did bring in a bunch of like so-called primetime television writers who now were like part of the thing too. And I had never met any of these. The Simpsons started that. See.
Yeah.
So then those guys came up, and then all of a sudden it turned. You know what I mean? It's like, so now all of a sudden it wasn't just a bunch of drawers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these guys were, making their fair share of money, but so I didn't use them. I just wrote my own stuff, but I had my own crew. But all the directors, Kyle Baker and Dan and me and God, I can't remember everybody else that was there, but So we were really helping each other.
Nice, yeah.
And the idea of doing theatrical Looney Tunes was awesome because it harkened back to the Roger Rabbit stuff.
Seriously, okay, nice. Yeah, so that was where things kind of came full circle and you were like, hey, okay, yes.
This is a familiar shoe.
Excellent, excellent, man. And did you say they never really panned out? So they were never broadcast, they never got put before any movies or they never put them anywhere?
I think Dan made one that might have got out.
It escaped.
It was pretty funny, but I was doing stuff like I had two that I really wanted to make. One was where Death had come for the Granny character.
Oh, perfect.
But it was like a sideways Roadrunner cartoon where Death had been sent to claim Granny finally because she was so fucking old.
Yeah.
And so it was him like looming, but something would always happen to him, and he could never get her. So it was like he was the coyote, and she was the roadrunner, but
nice,
but a really slow one.
That's awesome.
It was really funny. Hold on, just kill that.
Inquiring minds reaching out.
Yeah. So that was a funny one, and then Kyle Baker and I had another one where Daffy and Porky were working in an office.
Oh, nice.
And Porky was the diligent worker guy, and Daffy was like the hungover slacker who came in, just fucks everything up for this guy. But of course he wins in the it's the total story.
Yeah.
So there was some really funny stuff, and Kyle Mankey was there doing storyboards, and it was really good.
Nice.
But it didn't. The project didn't work because they were sort of, the Roger Rabbit stuff was designed for theatrical release, and it was drawn that way, and it was like that. And what they did with the Looney Tunes thing, even though they were intended to be theatrical release, they applied like a TV production template to it.
Oh, okay.
So we were always in there saying like, look, so they were going to ship this stuff off.
Okay.
Like you do a TV show, and it's like, it's not 30 minutes, it's 7.
Yeah.
And we have the animators here, and if you want it done right, do it right here.
Yeah. Where they can have complete control.
We could have complete control.
Yeah,
and we can make it swing.
Yeah.
No. You must ship it to Korea, because it was very shady. I don't know really what happened. Anyway, the whole fucking thing exploded in a horror.
Okay.
But during that, because Keenan was my boss still.
Yeah.
Then I started writing the Tom and Jerry stuff.
Okay, cool. Now, was that something that you had sort of been playing around with in your head, or did they come to you?
I think I actually wrote the Blast Off to Mars. It might have even been like, if it wasn't during that Looney Tunes thing, it was like right after.
Okay.
I don't really remember.
Cool though.
I had a feature script.
Nice, and that's what became the first Tom and Jerry movie. Okay,
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then we were taking it old school, and Joe Barbera was there, and he loved us because we were slamming him around.
Nice, the way you're supposed to. Yeah,
the way you're supposed to. Yeah.
Very, very cool, man. And how often did you get to see Joe? Was he in and out, or
not as much as I wanted to? That's for sure. But he was pretty funny, man. And oh no, it was great. He was like a real God, but he was like I don't know. 200 years old, I think.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
But he would have been. You could tell, like, if we'd have been the same age, we would have gotten along just fine. I mean, like, seriously, we'd have been out on the.
There was no there was no age gap.
He was great. Yeah, he was.
Very cool.
Great. Anyway, so we started that up, and that went. I just kind of took some of the guys that I had on the Looney Tunes, and we just sort of applied it to there, and. Cool. We did that one, and while we were storyboarding that, I wrote the next one. I wrote The Fast and the Furry. And I wrote another one, too, that never got made.
Oh, really?
Because I think you're only born with 2 Tom and Jerry movies.
Did you I mean, this is just, I guess, me being curious, but did you think it was just, like, an equally good movie? Or did you like it and they didn't? Or why didn't it get made, the third one? Do you remember?
No, I mean, I think maybe of course, at the same time, I think Twisted Whiskers was starting up.
Oh,
maybe,
okay.
And I think they knew I was on the one. But then again, they also had the the new Tom and Jerry series, which from what I've seen of it, which is not much, but it looked pretty good.
Okay, cool.
So I think they were kind of like sliding me out, and they knew that Twisted Whiskers had started bubbling.
Okay.
And I hadn't written the script. I would have made it, but I might have even said, because that's the way I am, I might even say, like, are you fucking kidding? No one can do 3 Tom and Jerry movies.
A third feature, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good way. I think
I probably did, and Keenan probably knew it, because Keenan and I are pretty tight still.
Cool. But
I think he probably went like, there's no way. It might be psychologically damaging to make Kopp do a third one.
So that was cool. It was a mutual...
The second one was really hard to write. I remember, of course, I was in production on the one, writing the second one, and in the studio, like in the same room with all the noise and the darts and the bowling balls and everything that we had flying around there.
Wow.
So I made Martin Olson like sit with me.
Yeah.
He was like my babysit me and like help me like because it was really hard to write, but the second movie turned out better than the first one.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
It's a lot more fun.
Cool, and like just like taken to the next level, crazy exaggeration. I love and miss.
Well, it was just a better structure. I think in the first one, we had all those Martians, which were great designs, and look, everybody did a great job on it. So
nice.
There's the waiver.
Yeah.
But the problem was me and my script. It was like, I thought, I had to have this other story going on with the Martians and and the Fast and Furious is a much more wacky, more of a Mad World kind of just pure comedy structure.
That's the perfect word, man. Wacky. Yeah.
It was just a lot more loose.
Nice.
And it was just like more fun for everyone.
Excellent, man.
Because I rolled the same board guys into the next one. It's like, I would kill them for 9 weeks and I'd be like, by the way, we're starting another one. They were just like, oh my God, fuck you. Like, it's okay, it's all right, I'll buy you a steak. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, man. Right on. That sounds.
But I had really good board. I had a lot of the guys that had been in the picture for, years and years and years and years and years.
Very, very cool, man. So that sounds like a lot of fun. And
It was a very pleasant, fun experience.
Cool.
And then, so during that, then Margaret pops back into the picture.
Excellent. Okay.
Because they weren't starting the hub yet. It was her company, the Hatchery.
Okay.
And I hadn't heard anything about the hub starting at that point.
Okay.
This is probably now about late 2005, 2006, something like that.
Nice. Okay.
And at that time, I had the coolest house in the world, like in Laurel Canyon, like this little foresty cabin. It reminded me a lot of Seattle. I think it was very good for me to live there then.
Like in the hills.
Yeah, it was right by the you know where the country store is off of Laurel Canyon?
I love that, yes.
Okay, the house next door to me was the house that Jim Morrison lived in.
Nice.
But it was all trees, and I was like, you had to climb 40 steps to get up to it. It was just like...
Perfect.
It was just a nice place, and it was very creative, and all the people were groovy, man.
Yeah,
and everybody was just... my neighbors were awesome, and it was the kind of place where you'd leave your front door open and it just didn't matter. You know what I mean?
Right on, dude. Okay, cool.
And so it was a very creative time. And then, and I was writing a bunch of other stuff during this whole period as well.
Cool.
New stuff was starting. I finally got okay, while I'm working on I was working up new ideas that are hopefully starting to happen now. It's that's how long it takes.
Awesome. See, and that's another thing. So never quit, never give up.
Right.
Keep going.
Like Earth Versus, I think, started right around that time. And now we're just now.
That's awesome.
Getting ready to do it. So that's 8 years or something.
Yeah. How cool, though, man.
But anyway, so that was a happy place.
Yeah.
And then, so Margaret sent me this stuff of, it was called Twisted Whiskers. And
you're kind of going, what's that?
Yeah. And I think we'd had a couple of meetings. And she was telling me, well, we're working with American Greetings. And I'm like that sounded like something like Joseph Goebbels would have come. I was like, what is it, propaganda? What's American Greetings?
Propaganda. We're doing propaganda shorts.
It just sounded weird.
I love it though, man. Yeah. So yeah.
And she's like, no, they're a super successful greeting card company, and we really dig this line that they do, and come down and meet the fellas or whatever.
Okay.
So she sent me a box of these greeting cards, and I'm sure you've seen them. I mean, they're all the goofy animals with the big eyes. And and the huge, like, kitty cats with human teeth.
Yes.
Like, but I kind of liked it because it was like fucked up and weird as it was. It like some of them really made me laugh.
Cool.
And
okay.
They weren't, but there was no show there.
This was just like imagery, like funny panel imagery. Okay.
Yeah, like the guy, whoever did it, came up with, like, he discovered the morph thing.
Right.
Photoshop, and just went there and they're like, oh my god. Anyway, it makes up making like $100 million a year because apparently
no one else is using the morph thing on Photoshop.
Apparently the rest of the planet, maybe other planets, really like big-eyed pussycats with human teeth, and apparently they did.
That's cool.
So I met with her and she said. Yeah, okay, now, and there's another interesting thing about that time. She goes, well, listen, I really want to make a show out of this, and I've already kind of, like, got you in mind, but I want you to work with Savage again. Which I had no problem with, because I fucking love the guy.
Nice, man.
But we hadn't seen each other
since Eek.
Quite a few years.
Wow, okay.
And, I mean, we kept in touch.
Yeah.
But we weren't, like... It had been a few years, which was really weird.
Okay.
For us not to, but things move on, and you're not always there. You know what I mean?
Sure. And then when you get back in touch, it's kind of like, oh hey, I saw you yesterday. I mean, it kind of is still there, and you pick back up.
Well, he'd been doing a lot of live action shows and stuff, but no, I think for him and me anyway, when Margaret put us together, I think we all went out for lunch. We were just right back where we started.
Perfect. Yes.
And she's like, well, here's how we want to start with you guys making some shorts, and then we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
The return of Margaret Lesh.
That's right.
Who seems to be like a recurring saint in my life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Like when she started it really in TV, which is really what I'm known for.
Nice. Yeah.
And and she's still. So here she comes again, and then
here she comes,
and then again.
Yeah,
and that's her. It's like she's the best. Anyway, so she got me and Savage back together. She's like, "This is gonna be fun," and it was. But we had to come up with. They wanted us to do like a few shorts. I think we did 5 or maybe 7. They're on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
If you look. The funniest one was the first one we came up with, which was the dog.
Nice, right.
It was like, he looks like a dog in a car with his head out the window.
Yeah.
And he's like, like blathering along like dogs do.
Yeah, just hung out.
There's a honk, and then you realize he's driving.
Nice, yeah.
So they were ingenious little, short gags like that. But those are really hard to think of.
Because it's so short, they have to be brilliant right away, right?
Yeah, but you gotta have a really good setup and a punchline that just pulls the rug out, and that's just that particular gag is a great example of that.
Cool, yeah.
You suck him into thinking one way, and then it's like, oh no, he's actually driving, folks, and that's comedy.
Yeah, nice.
So we were trying to think of this stuff, but Savage at the time was shooting all these live action shows that he does now. So it was kind of hard to get him around. But when we did hang out together, our favorite, and this was the thing that we would do, like we loved chili burgers.
Oh, who doesn't? Oh my gosh, dude, I want one right now.
I know. We shouldn't even talk. We should call them something else, like halibut heads.
Yeah.
So you don't get thinking about, because in a minute, if we keep going, you and me are going to be at Tommy's.
Yeah, right?
But we would hang out at Carney's on Sunset.
Oh no, dude, yes, the best.
I mean, no, but like not normal. Like, I mean, we'd be there for like 6 hours.
Perfect.
And we brought all our sketch stuff, and we would sit out there, and Savage is one of those skinny guys that can just put it away. Like, I have to pace myself.
Oh yeah, dude.
And he can just power it down.
Cool.
But that was a great place to work because we really didn't know what we were going to do. And we didn't really have a character to focus it on. Like, with Eek, it was very easy. It's like, oh, well, he's Charlie Chaplin, basically. And,
yeah.
You know, everything orbited out of that one character. So here we were like, we got a bunch of goofy-eyed, human-toothed dogs and cats. What are we going to do?
Nice.
So we were making these shorts. And we'd hang out at Carney's, and that was a great place to watch the world go by. I think that's obviously where the dog thing. I must have been eating a chili burger and looking at Sunset Boulevard, and a dog goes by in a car, and I'm like, well, he should be driving.
Yeah,
right?
perfect, man.
So that's how that would work. But it was very hard. It was difficult.
Hence the 6-hour sessions at like.
Yeah,
it was just every day.
And we weren't just eating chili burgers the whole time. It was like really. You know, we knew how our process works, and we were used to, you know, it was great to be reunited and back doing that, and we had a definite vibe together. But again, I think the difficulty was there was no singular character to hang it all on, so we were just sort of coming up with, they're almost like Far Side cartoons.
Yeah, okay.
Or Gahan Wilson or something, Charles Adams.
Yeah, cool.
So we did a bunch of those. I think we did 7. I don't really know.
Okay.
5 or 7. And we had a great little studio, Super 78, who helped us, you know, get them up and running. And
Excellent.
they really did a great job. And then that stopped too. Like,
okay.
we did the shorts and we showed them to, and everybody was like, oh my God, this is great. And then, like, we just didn't hear anything for the longest fucking time.
Almost kind of like, wait a minute, like, no, it's like this. We love your work, but we're not going to tell you anything. And you're like, what's going on?
Well, so here's how long it went. I mean, I got so fed up with it, and I never heard no, it's not going to happen. It was always like, well, we're working this out, or blah blah blah. It was some big deal anyway.
Okay.
But I left California. I put all my shit in storage. I left the house in Laurel Canyon.
Oh, wow.
I basically quit. I mean, I really didn't know. I was so tired of waiting for it, and there really wasn't anything else going on.
Okay.
And I went to New York.
Oh,
and
wow.
worked with a friend of mine on the East Coast for on a play, on a musical.
Cool.
Called Little Dead Riding Hood.
Oh, nice.
Which never got made, but that didn't matter.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, a couple of days before I left, I had lunch with Tim Bjorklund at a place we used to always have lunch at that goes back to The Simpsons.
Awesome.
And so, kids, if you want to know this place, it's very special. It's Douglas Fairbanks's grave at Hollywood, the cemetery, Hollywood Memorial.
Hollywood Forever Cemetery?
Yeah, right behind Paramount.
Nice.
Douglas Fairbanks has this awesome grave with this, like, rectangular pond. And then and like his tomb is there, and it's just like the best place to have. And when we were doing The Simpsons, we used to always go there.
That's awesome, man.
Me and Silverman and Timmy, that was like we'd drive our motorcycles, and we'd have lunch there. That was our spot.
Picnic at the cemetery.
Right. So I took Tim there because he had been out of the country. He was working in Ireland, and he was back. And I'll never forget this, but like I was telling him, like, I'm done. You know, because now it had been like 3 or 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Since Savage and I did the shorts, it was, you know, and I just figured it was over. And
Okay.
I wasn't hearing anything positive, and it was just like, fuck, this is stupid.
Okay.
And I was angry about that, and I was fed up with everything. And
Okay.
I was like, I'm leaving, I'm going away. And
Okay.
I just went and traveled around.
Walkabout, kind
I
of.
did a walkabout, yeah. So I did that stuff in New York, and I lived with my buddy. Charlie Fink in Virginia for a little while.
Cool, man.
He has a great house there, and then I went to Arizona.
Nice.
And then I went back up to Seattle and like rehooked up with all my old buddies up there.
Cool, man.
And I was actually hanging out there with John Good, who ended up being the composer. Well, he's a great musician. He's one of my I've known him since I was 14.
Cool. Okay.
So I was living at his place. And I was just kicking it up there, and I was like, well, the dough's going pretty fast, what am I going to do? And I really did not, it took me 9 months to figure out, like, that I really thought I was done. I wasn't going to come back. you know?
Okay.
So my shit was in storage, and it was kind of like a fuck you to Hollywood, but it was also at the same time, it was like, I don't know how to do anything else.
Okay.
Either.
Okay.
So it's like, even if I did that, like, what would make me happy? What, like, beyond that show, Finding Bigfoot? You know, I mean, what am I going to do?
Right.
I'm not qualified to do anything else. It's too late for me, kids, you know.
And this was like just your thought process at the time. But
I was so mad and fed up.
Right.
And pissed off.
Okay.
And that's really what, you know, was behind all this, was just like, get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
And it was kind of nice to go like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, right.
I'm leaving.
And then you went off and had a great time.
I know, but I'm thinking about it every single day.
Trying to distract yourself from this crap. Okay, I gotcha.
You know, but it was nice to finally, like, get out of the 213 for a little bit, you know.
Right on. Nice, man.
But I knew the whole time, like, I kind of proved it to myself. It's like, well, what are you going to do, really? And even if I had, like, I think my ideal job would be, like, scuba diver in the day, bartender at night. And,
okay.
Like, in Maui.
Dang, yeah, man.
But what's going to be going on, even if I did that, would be I'd be, like, sitting with a sketchbook, writing stuff, you know what I mean? It's, like, never going to stop. It's never going to stop.
Totally.
So in the back of my head the whole time, for that whole 9 months, I was like, I just knew I could never rest. Like, even I was telling myself, like, fuck it, man. You know, every time I'd, like, lay in bed, you know.
The wheels start to turn.
It's just like, you know what? I really did. I've sold my soul to this thing. Like, there's no getting out of it, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But my actually, now that I think about it again, it's like my big plan was like, I'm gonna write novels. I'm gonna write books about big stories that I could never get made into a cartoon.
Okay.
And then it's like, well, okay, and then what? Work at the fish market, like, during the day? Because you're going to have to do something, man. Okay. So it's like, it ended up balancing. I was like, what's worse, you know? But I'd already kind of told everybody, fuck you, and I'm not coming back.
Commitment!
Just like John Mandel. And my old, remember from part 1?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He basically kicks you out. You go, I quit. You can't fire me.
And then I didn't get the other thing either.
But you did eventually, which was really cool, man. So it all comes around, and I have
but I had to work. And it's the same thing here. It's like, so while I'm sitting up there and with Mr. Good, as we call him, up in Seattle, who's just great anyway. I kept thinking, like, God damn it. I missed it, you know, like. Yeah. But I really didn't have anything to go back to either. So I was like in limbo. It really was like being like in limbo. Okay. And then finally I got a call from my agent, and she tracked me down. And
nice, like hunted you in all these places.
He's like, he's in New York, he's in Arizona. It was like,
yeah, it's like Roger Rabbit. I didn't know where your house was, so I called all these people.
But the liquor store guy, he knew.
Yes.
Oh, God damn it! Yeah. So anyway, she tracked me down and she's like, hey, you know, oh my God, I've been trying to get hold of you for like 2 weeks. I'm like, well, yeah. And she goes, they want to make that show. I'm like, well, you know, what show? Yeah. She's like, they want to do Twisted Whiskers. I'm like, seriously, for reals? And she's like, no, for real. Get your ass down here. Stop it. Okay. Stop being Carlos Castaneda and come home. Come home, I think were her words, which was really weird because I was in Seattle, which is my home, I thought. But I guess not anymore after all this. It's like, come home.
Right on, man. And it was like serious, legit time.
And I wouldn't have come down if it wasn't. And she assured me, she's like, no, they're really going to do it. It's really for real. And so get your ass back here. So I did. I came back down. Cool. Dug everything out of storage. And so, you know, we had a big meeting and we were trying to figure out the logistics of trying to do this thing. And the part of me that kept wondering at the same time was like, well, if we're going to do this show, it's got to be done right. And it's got to, you know, and this is getting technical for animation people or for non-animation people, but like, you know, they need fur. They're cats and dogs, unless you want to do it with one of those shaved Russian cats, which is fucking creepy.
Yeah.
But no, they need fur, and it's got to be, like, at least try to get to a certain mark. And they were, like, assuring me up and down, like, oh, no, we're going to do the best of everything. It's going to be great. So we started up, and I really did I thought Super 78 did a really good job on those shorts, and I really wanted them to be there. And it was not mine or Savage's decision about what ended up happening, because it was out of our hands. We weren't qualified to make that call, and I always felt really bad about them losing that gig.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going like, fuck you, Kopp. It sounds really great, but anyway, seriously,
it's the truth, man.
We did feel bad about, I think they do hate us, but it really wasn't our fault. So for the record, folks, we tried.
Yeah, exactly.
And there were a lot of great guys involved on that. Anyway, so then it was sucked into this big machine, and I remember having this meeting with the guys from American Greetings, who at the time I really, really thought were taking a big chance, but in a cool pirate way. I was like, wow, you guys are really going to try. I was like, listen, man, we'll invent the characters, and we can make this thing the new Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
If you let us.
Right.
If you let us. And then I remember having this big meeting where they were just like saying, you tell us what you need.
They said that to you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
You tell us what you need, and we'll go. So Savage and I heard that, and we're like, oh my God. And I'm looking at him going like, this is incredible, because we really can do, if let's tell them what we need. And, it's going to be really hard because it's 3D animation.
Yeah.
So.
Now, is this your first CG gig here? Okay.
Yeah, I'd fiddle around here and there on a couple of things that aren't important, but I knew what I was up. I knew I knew the groundwork that needed to be laid. Like, you need to get all those expressions figured out. I knew you can't just go and go, like with drawing, you can go like, well, I want his head to explode like this. And you can easily draw that. Yeah. But unless you've designed that into the character in 3D, you're never going to get there. So it's like, that was a big part. So it was very super duper complicated effort. And I knew that's what we're looking at.
Cool.
And, how do I get out of this gracefully? I think they realized what we were asking for, and they're like, remember when we told you, like, what do you need to do it? No. We can't really. and then from there, it just got whittled down, and once again, we were faced with, like, well, it's the strength of the writing that's going to make it go, and if the we knew it's never going to look like Pixar, but, at least we were going to try.
Sure.
And then Savage and I got all tangled up into that, because what came up again was like, I was really fighting for what it was going to take to execute the animation, which was super technical and really fucking hard. And and as the years went by, and I've already said in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, like, how much I love the guy.
Yes.
But, like, he always let me handle the animation. At first, that was great, but after a while, it was, like, tiresome.
Okay, yeah.
And it seemed like, well, he would just come in, and we'd write a little bit together, and then I would be left with all this animation. Like, I boarded all the shorts, and it was like, and then I just think he lost interest in it, and his participation became less and less and less, until pretty soon it was like, okay, so I'm going to just do all the animation and pretty much all the writing, and then you will just put your name on it. Is that how it's going to go here? And then we had another big fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second blowout.
I think it was only the second. Yeah. Significant, though.
Okay, yeah.
And I felt really bad, because to me it was sort of like, I was coming back from saying fuck it all, and then here it was, and we were and Margaret beautifully tried to, like, put, but in a way, and not to make it sound too overblown, but it was like trying to put a rock band together that was done, you know.
Okay.
It's like, well, let's get Paul McCartney and John Lennon back together in whenever, and it just Savage was so busy anyway with all this other stuff he was doing, and by this time now he had a family, you know.
Okay, yeah, things had just changed.
It had just changed, and I think he was really trying, and also I don't think I was probably very diplomatic either.
Okay.
Because I think I probably did say like something like, you know what, man, fuck you. I'm doing all the animation and like I'm handling the writing, and you're just gonna be fuck, you know. And it was probably like, and he's like, you know what, fuck you, man.
Yeah. So it was one of those.
It was one of those, and then I don't think we spoke for like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tricky stuff, man. I mean, like, yeah, this is like you get into the heat of production and things get heavy, but it was because they had said one thing and then kind of gone and changed everything, and the whole structure had changed, and now you were.
And I really don't think that he was interested in it, and my only way of coping with that kind of a workload was kind of like, come on, God damn it, we've got. And I'm sure it was just like that. It was just like two guys that made great music all them years ago, who both have different, you know, agendas now, and it's like you try to put us back together, and we thought, okay, that sounds good, and it kind of was on the shorts, but when we got into looking at, I think when we looked at the scope of the production, and I don't think he was going to let go of what he was doing live action. I mean, I know, obviously, clearly he didn't, you know?
Yeah.
And I think he was fed up with me and my attitude with how hardcore you really had to be, because I knew we were also surrounded by people that really, really at the end of the day didn't give a shit. Margaret excluded from that.
Yeah.
But the production people we were involved with were just not, you know, it's not that they didn't care, it's just that they didn't know any better.
Okay.
So I just looked at it like I'm facing an army of people who don't know what it's really going to take to make this happen.
Okay.
I probably...
Kind of like...
I don't know. You'd have to ask Savage, you know?
Yeah, totally.
But I'm sure he said, no, Bill was going to be a dick again, and I didn't want to deal with it, you know? Why am I always the bad guy?
Well, you know, dude, you said it really well a second ago. It's like you had all these people sort of just looking to you to make this thing go.
And I needed it more than he did, too. And
okay.
And he probably saw, too, knowing me. I'm sure this is what happened. He's like, I bet you deep down, and he would never admit this, but I bet deep down he was going like, he doesn't really need me to do this. And I don't really want to do it.
Okay.
So I think he bailed, but it was way cooler to turn it into a fight. I don't know. He'll probably kill me for saying that. We're supposed to do an Eek the Cat thing in August, which will be fun. But we've emailed a bunch. I mean, we're okay now.
That's awesome.
And I don't care anymore, and I hope and I'm sure he doesn't.
Well, yeah, and see, we were just talking about that a little while ago, but like that's what's so cool is like you have your core compadres, you know, and it's like no matter how much time goes by or what.
I really have two of them. Really, at the end of the day, I mean, like significant people is like Savage and Margaret Lesh.
Nice.
And I have a lot of great friends, lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as career business shit goes, those are the two people that have made the biggest difference. And Margaret, of course, is still resonating, you know, to this day. But anyway, whatever. I mean, so Savage and I had a big fight.
Yes, and Twisted Whiskers was a monumental thing that was coming down on you now. And
yeah, and now it was, and I couldn't back out. I mean, I didn't want to back out.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do this, damn it, you know. And then we're just gonna condense this. Suffice it to say that Twisted Whiskers was a very difficult production.
Okay.
From every standpoint.
Okay.
You know, from my standpoint, from American Greetings standpoint, from Mike Young Productions, everybody, it was just hard.
Okay.
And Margaret was so busy because now she was setting up the hub, so she really wasn't around to like help, you know.
Yeah.
So we were kind of left to our own, you know. It was crazy. It was just like there were some great people, and then there were some people that just didn't get it.
Okay.
And that's going to happen on any big production like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but goddamn, you know, it went on. How many of those did we do? 104.
And
cartoons?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like it just. The thing is too, like we were just talking about this at the studio the other day. CG animation on
on a
television
TV schedule.
has always just been. I mean, I'm impressed that they did that many and that they were that ambitious to begin with, because that's everybody involved sounds like they really had to know, just like
Everybody wanted it to work.
Yeah.
And we tried. And the thing of it is, like, I think if it had been, well, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Right.
If it would have been handled differently by me and everybody else too, I'm at fault here too, probably. Those first 2 seasons, we could have shown them and said, well, you know what, with a couple extra bucks, we could re-up it and really go.
Okay.
And if you guys promote it right and make the toys and da-da-da, and you're our American Greetings, after all, hello, I mean,
Yeah.
Would it kill you to make an adorable toy?
And, well, now, there were some really adorable characters, right, that became some of your favorites out of this.
Yeah.
Out of everything you've done, you had some favorite characters on Twisted Whiskers.
Mr. Muser and Tiny Head were great.
Yes.
But, Muser was amazing.
And Smidgen.
That was his little mouth, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They're out of the... Okay, so there were like 59 10-minute cartoons and 59 30-second ones.
Cool.
And out of all those, there's like 10 really good, strong cartoons, which is probably about right.
Cool, yeah. That's great, man.
Average for that, ambitious of a project. But then, so, it's just like and then the economy tanked.
Right.
So that was like 2009 or something.
Yep.
And it went on the air in 2010.
Okay.
It was a 2-year fist fight, man. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was like, never has a cartoon stressed me out.
Okay.
But that one really did. It was just so hard to make.
Okay.
So I don't know where I'm going with this, but, so it gets on the hub, and I guess it's doing okay. But it was never going to be what it should have been because, once you step into the CG ring, you automatically are facing off, no matter if you're a TV or a movie, you're facing off against the Pixar guys and the Blue Sky guys. It's like,
yeah.
Unless you can really do it, it's gonna end up looking like shit, and it did. It was so, some of the animation, we just couldn't get squishy enough or slippery enough, or
okay.
There wasn't enough finesse to do it right.
I see. Okay.
So it fell flat. I think that would be the general. But I mean, again, some of the writing was great. I mean, those Dad Blasted Varmints cartoons.
Yeah, man. I love.
I mean, there was stuff that just like the writing is so funny and good and cool, and the characters are so charming and weird that that you're gonna like. I mean, Tiny Head.
Yeah. And man, some of the gags, like some of the ones you showed me, were absolutely just hilarious and timeless, and really goes back to that vaudeville slapstick classic humor.
Yeah, and High Wire Hijinks, I think, is one that was that was the first cartoon I wrote for it. That was the very first one we did.
Nice. And
that one I think does because it didn't ask too much of the characters, because there's a lot of fast action. It wasn't a lot of acting and subtle stuff, so
yeah,
it was okay. That one was so bombastic.
It's more fun to do.
It's
stuff.
a lot of fun, and
yeah,
it's a great storyboard by Kyle Mankey, and a couple other people helped out on it. I think Guy Vasilovich helped out on it. Rich, certainly Rich, probably. Anyway, but the rest of them were they just needed better animation to do it. And we just physically, no one could pull it off on the schedule. And it was just, so the whole thing was to me, a big disappointment, and it fell really short of the mark. And it was horrible. It was horrible. It was like watching something it was like watching footage on YouTube of one of those great planes at the Paris Air Show just crash. You know, it's like, that is a beautiful plane. Look at it go. Wait a minute, what's wrong? Oh my God, it's
the humanity.
Just auguring down, but it took like a year and a half to hit the ground. You know?
Oh man,
it was like we know what's gonna happen.
It's like plummeting in slow motion.
Down. It's coming down.
Oh man, slow motion kamikaze.
So then really it's just a question of like, well, how big is the explosion gonna be, and can we get out of the way? You know.
Right. Wow, man.
But you know what? You come out, something like that. You come out of there with 10 good cartoons out of 60. You know, that's still good enough to be in the major leagues. You know?
Well, sure, man. But the thing is, too, like it's all about how you look at it, too. Like that right there would be a killer DVD. You know what I mean? Like if they wanted to put it out.
They put it out in Europe.
Oh, cool.
There is one out there.
Nice. Okay. It's funny how they release so much stuff, but not in America. Like apparently there's like a complete Tex Avery DVD commercial set that came out in Europe, and it's like
after that first laser, all they did was and then the Droopies came out on DVD. But
right.
I'd loved it. I missed my Laserdisc thing. I had remember that first Tex Avery set?
Yeah. Yeah. And they did the MGM cartoon shorts.
But I think most of the stuff, thank God for YouTube.
Yes, exactly, man.
And I love the way everybody just sort of looks the other way. It's like
yeah, it's
on YouTube.
It's free advertising, man. It's like we're gonna put your stuff out for the world to see.
The YouTube is just the collective unconscious of everything,
Yeah.
It's like if you shoot it on video now and email it to one friend, it's gonna be on YouTube, and you should just know that going in.
Exactly, man. And see, that right there is a huge point that I'd just like to make really quick before we move on, and that is there used to be kind of like this one pathway to sort of get your stuff out there, and it's like
the film festivals we talked about early on,
right,
which are still out there.
Yes, and they even have the rules like you can't put it online if you want to get in our thing. We don't want anyone else to see it. And
I would still recommend going that route. I mean, there's some great festivals out there, and if you can get involved with them, if you do have a film, I think it's cool to do it that way. There's something now kind of quaint about having your film screened in a crazy venue somewhere in some oddball city.
And here's the thing: it's guaranteeing people are gonna see it, because when you put something on YouTube, it's like dropping a pebble in the ocean. Like there's no guarantee. It's so vast that it may never get noticed. Yeah, exactly. Just kind of like that.
I know, and what does get noticed too, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Kitty with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like 7 million hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? Kitty with a hammer.
Oh my, yeah, right, exactly. And so it's crazy. And I love that the film festival.
I don't know if
exists.
Kitty with a hammer is a real thing, but
look up Kitty with the Hammer. It's like maybe it really is out there.
That's
Ninja
my Dada version of what should be.
So okay. So you've got the 10 best. You got kind of the 10 gems that you came out of Twisted Whiskers with, and it tanked. It didn't become what everybody wanted
I wouldn't
it to
say
be.
that it tanked because I think it just recently got pulled out of the rotation.
Oh, okay.
So it played for a couple of years.
And you know what? It could easily be one of those things, maybe that like with these good cartoons that find an audience later.
I hope the Dad Blasted cartoons and a couple of the Musers and maybe a Tiny Head or two find it. But I think you'd be good, like, if you took away from Twisted Whiskers the Whistling Ghost and Dad Blasted Varmints, that's all you need.
Nice. Okay, those are the titles, guys.
Those are the two best ones.
Look them up.
And they are fucking funny.
And I can vouch for that. I watched them both in this apartment with the creator himself. So I loved it, man. It was funny.
Yeah, those are funny. But that's all that kind of anyway. So, after that, then by that time it was 2010, and it was time to get the hips replaced. So I did that. And sat around and tried to wonder about, like, I don't know, God, here I am again, like, taking another good look at, like, what's going on, and I gotta say, like, I'll always love cartoons, and I'll always love making short cartoons. You give me a 7-minute cartoon to write, and I don't think I'm ever not gonna enjoy that.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah.
going into a series and inventing a show. There were a lot of other things that happened in between. I mean, there were several deals. There was a big one at Nickelodeon, but then they fired everybody. Everybody was like, walking into a mafia bloodbath. Like,
oh man,
before Christmas, like, hey, great, we'll see you after the break. And I come back and it's just like blood all over the walls, and everybody's dead that I was working. Like,
oh man,
we're like, well, we're gonna pass on your show. So, and there's a couple other little things that popped up, and Brad Garrett and I had Dumb Buddy and Jackass, and we still want to do that, but then Brad got all busy too,
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I just started looking at it. It's like, you know what? It's just too fucking hard to make a cartoon show the way I want to make it. I suppose if I somehow became, famous again somehow or whatever, I could probably make anything I wanted, cartoon-wise.
Yeah.
But, it's really funny. Like, some of the executives I've met with, are like, they don't even know anymore. Like, all the stuff, it's like, well, do you know my work? Because, like, I'll pitch them an idea, and I don't really do. I'm just show them a few drawings, and I'm like, well, the idea is this. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, well, do you know what I've done? I mean, do you know? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Okay.
Here's the
list.
Here's the blotter. This is like, here's the 2,000 cartoons I've made, Yeah, but it's funny. I don't hold it against them. I'm just like, well, okay, they're young and they're not interested in the history of the business they're working in.
Right.
Which is great, because what that does is it doesn't give you any perspective or vision on the future.
Right.
You're just like, how do we sell sneakers and lollipops right now really fast?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, it's all shit. So I'm not really interested in working in animation anymore in that capacity. And I think I missed the boat on the feature thing. At least for now. So it's kind of sitting around like, what am I going to do? And once again, God damn it, the old sketchbook comes back into play.
All right, man.
And it's like, hey, wait a minute, Earth versus everything. That's pretty cool.
Right on, man. And you had written and made something with the
I
same
made a
title.
Cartoon on Toonsylvania called Earth versus Everything.
Right. Okay.
Long time ago. And it was really funny because we had a section in Toonsylvania called the B-Movie thing.
Nice.
B-Movie Theater or whatever. And so I did do a cartoon called Earth versus Everything, which I just thought was the best title ever.
Nice, yeah.
But that was it. It was like, that happened and that show went away. And but that idea never left me because, once again, folks, back to part one, it's like all of those old, creepy, cool monster movies. Like, that's just like... And then again, it's just like CalArts. It's like looking around, like, okay, I'm not feeling comfortable pitching cartoon shows because I personally, my opinion of Bill Kopp is that I don't think anybody in there right now really even... I'm certain they don't know what they want. And I'm pretty sure that they don't even have an idea, really.
Okay.
It's not guided by some other... Anyway, whatever. Like,
yeah.
They just don't want to jam, and they don't, it's like, I don't get it anymore. I'm not getting any traction, so that's pretty obvious.
Okay.
So again, it's like looking at what aren't people doing.
Cool, right.
And I still had a few things I still had some good animation stuff around. It's not like, I've given up on it, but I think the ideas are they're either scared of them, like Dumb Buddy and Jackass are scared of, or other things like Quest and Hot Rod, and these other ideas are a little deeper. They're a little... It's not Eek the Cat anymore. Sorry, folks. I've moved on to different areas, and I think it's not that they don't get my ideas. I just don't think they get where they fit in them, or they're not sure. Like I said, unless something was to happen that would create a sensation, and then they'd be like, oh, well, then of course they'd all come running,
right?
Because they're that smart.
The sensation, yeah.
Anyway, so it was like, okay, well, let's talk about Earth versus and. And it's like, well, it's all retro, and it is really just like when you're at a place like that artistically, where you're wondering, what the fuck is going on, or what do I do next?
Yes.
Go back to your original inspiration. What started this? And that's really what happened. It was like after the Nickelodeon thing the deal blew up. I was kind of like, all right, aside from jumping in for another train, which I'm not gonna do for Nickelodeon.
Yes, yeah, right,
I
man.
might do it for another reason, but you know what's not working?
Okay, right.
And so all the regular animation stuff, when I really look at it in the cold light, it's like, well, you know what? If I were to do that again, I'm just repeating myself. I mean, I've made I don't even know how many cartoons I made. 1,000?
Yeah.
Maybe 2? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
man. Tons.
too many. Right? It's probably time for me to stop anyway.
So Earth Versus pops up and it's live action. It's not animated.
Right, but before you just jump to there, you got the thought process behind it is like,
yes.
Okay, so I think there's a reason the animated ideas aren't getting any traction right now. That's because I don't think they have any traction, really.
Okay.
And I don't really am not that excited about it because I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself.
Okay.
So what can we do? Because I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, right. Where do we take it?
Yeah, what are we
going
to do for the next 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And then I started looking at Earth Versus, like, okay, well, where does that come from? And well, it comes from all those old movies, and they're super fun, and they're fun to make fun of, and every time I throw one on, and I think Jack Arnold's an awesome director, and I love that whole period from the 50s to the 60s of all those movies. So I'm like, well, okay, well, what's that about? So then it was about designing a show that made a comment on that and was still viable now. And what turns out is that you actually do that. Like when you force yourself to look at it and deconstruct an idea and go like, well, what are you about? Well, personally, what are you about? What do you want to do? So, well, I like that stuff, and I like the creature, and I like flying saucers, and I love the retro attitude, and I love making fun of those movies, but I also really love them too.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, well, okay, so you have comedy and love in the same thing, so there's got to be something there. You know?
Man. Yes.
So then it was just like, okay, well, let's retrofit this thing into something new, and that's where Earth Versus came out and into its real. And there had been like little flirtations with it, writing stuff. Like I wrote a feature of it, but it didn't really capture it somehow, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it's better in a shorter series form. So I just in 2011, I really started looking at that.
Nice. Okay. And they would be, and that's what you're working on currently, right now. This is happening.
Well, it took a little bit so there was artwork to be done and writing and all this stuff and a lot of research, which I'd already been doing since I was 8 anyway.
Yeah. Man, this is a lifetime of research has gone into this project.
Oh yeah, I've already got 2 scripts, a writer's guide, the show, everything's all figured out. The show's ready to go.
Nice.
But all I had was that, written material and a couple of posters.
Okay, yeah.
Which I can give you if you want to put them up.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
And so I shopped it around, and it was really funny how people reacted to it because, everybody kind of got the retro thing.
Yeah.
That was conveyed in the pitch really well.
Okay.
But then they were uncertain, well, how do you do that for a show? Or, some of them would say, well, what's the kid entry level? Maybe the scientists should all be kids. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we could call it Science Monkey Club. And you know what? Fuck you. I have to go now. So it's the problem with a lot of these people is they'll see a good idea and the first thing out of their mouth is how to just wreck it. And they don't even know they're doing it.
Right. It's not always intentional.
No, it's not. No, it's just it's
rarely intentional.
So you're pitching me a show about rabbits that live in a forest and there's magic gophers and stuff, and so I'd be like, you know what? I love the characters. I love the idea of these animals being magic, but can it be underwater? So it's okay, so you're just gonna take the whole universe that I've created and then just
chuck it.
Change it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
it's a show about a square. Can it be about a tire? It's just what? Why? Are you just saying that to just say something?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it does. It's almost it has to be.
That's the art of pitching too.
Yeah.
You have to still smile and go you know what? I do. I love circles. but I gotta go.
But I'm trying really hard not to strangle you right now.
Yeah, but I like squares better, and I did pitch you a square, but you're saying that it should be a circle.
Yes.
But it still has fur, and it's magic. Whatever it is.
Yes.
Anyway, it's like, the list of dumb stuff I've heard, and everybody's heard, goes on and on and on. This is part of pitching, man. And that same person who said the idiotic thing, like, if you caught him the next Wednesday, they might be a genius. You don't know.
Exactly, yeah.
So you don't know. You just kept
like, you were the one who had the idea about the square?
Never pitch, unless it's early in the morning, never pitch before lunch.
Okay.
Yeah, always pitch, like 3's a great time.
People have a full stomach.
They got a full stomach. If they ate a burrito, they've already gone through the tired phase on their back because they had a Red Bull.
Yeah.
And then they realize they have a job, so they're all excited again.
Nice.
So it's 10 o'clock is probably the best time to do it, I think.
So that's early enough, 10 a.m.
Because they just got there and they're like, oh, what? Or it could be, depending on what's going on at the studio, it could be bad too. But I don't know. The afternoon pitches, I think, are better, actually. So
okay.
Forget everything I said about 10 o'clock.
Afternoon pitches.
But anyway, so I go to, so here's how funny people pop back up into your life. So the Earth versus pitch is, there's a lot of other show ideas around it, but Earth versus is pretty much the centerpiece of these new, once I decided to, shave and get a haircut again and decide to go back out on the road.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm tired of eating the bugs that I find in the apartment. I should probably, try harder.
Yeah.
So, you clean up, take a shower,
Pitch mode.
Pitch mode.
Cool.
And so it's out on, doing the circuit, and then you hear all the dumb stuff, and a lot of the meetings too with people that you want to see, because maybe they're people like in my case it was Christopher Keenan, but I couldn't get a fucking meeting with the guy for months.
Okay.
It's on the books, and usually it goes like this. It's like, oh yeah, no, he loves you and he really wants to see you. And I probably called him myself, but he's like, yeah, we can have lunch next week, and then that gets canceled. And then it gets moved to 7 weeks from it.
Yeah. What are you doing in August?
Yeah, exactly. Dude.
Yeah.
All the time that happens.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I try to explain that to my father sometimes. He's like, who are these people? And how are they in business? I don't know, Dad. It's just the way it is.
But that's a question we ask ourselves, too. It's just what are you guys thinking? But okay, but you end up getting used to it.
And in the meantime, I had gotten a new agent and stuff, and but just on the strength of all the years of stuff, I can I have to say I can pretty much get in anywhere I want. It really doesn't take that. It's not hard. I don't need an agent to get a meeting.
Nice.
But it's better to have one as a backup in case something goes, so you're ready to make to do those contracts, because I can't read that stuff.
Cool. Okay.
So anyway, Christopher Keenan is at Wild Brain Studios at the time, which is a place that I've had, dealings with over the years when they were in San Francisco and stuff. So I always liked them, and I always thought they were cool.
Yeah. So
this is June, maybe 2000. I think it's 2011, but it might even be 2010. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
So I finally get this meeting, and I've had several with the Earth versus project, but nothing's really going. And I'm really looking forward to the Wild Brain meeting. So I get in there and I pitch it to Keenan and the guy who's the Mike Polis, who's a very nice guy, president at the time when it existed.
Yeah.
We're getting to that part. So I pitch him Earth versus, and they just totally get it. And this is what happens over the years. You work with people, they get to know you, you deliver a couple of... Remember, I did the 2 movies for Keenan.
Yeah.
Plus all that development. So it's if you last long enough in the business, these people come up again, and it is true. They're like, oh my God, we went through hell together, and that counts, folks.
Yeah, seriously.
It really does. It's you delivered for me then, and that was 9 years ago. And, they don't... So, you try to play nice. It doesn't always happen.
Yeah. But you're right, they don't forget. It's
it's been a positive experience, certainly, because there are so many bad ones. I haven't had that many, and I did meet a lot of great people on Twisted Whiskers, but that was a difficult production, and that's all I'm saying about that. It's that was a bad experience, but not was my fault as much as anybody else's that it was. It was just like, ugh.
And that was really like kind of one of.
It was just because we bit off so much, no one could chew it.
Okay, yeah.
So everybody, I think, left that one feeling a little disgruntled.
Okay, yes, good word.
But go back 25 years of animation. I mean, you're bound to run into a couple of the same guys, a couple of them anyway.
Yeah, totally, man. And it's a tiny industry, man.
Yeah. So it was good to see Keenan, and so I pitched him the Earth versus stuff, and I knew he would, and he totally got it.
Nice.
So we talked, and so they're like, okay, we love this, and let's, we want to join forces, and and we're a studio, so, and you're just a guy, so we can come together and let's go pitch it. I'm like, well, wait a minute, I can pitch it, and I love you guys, but what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, come on, let's shoot a promo.
Okay.
If you guys want in on this and you really believe in it, let's, look, I did all the work. I invented the motherfucker. So, you guys, I can get the meetings myself. You got to bring something to the party. And they totally did. So we made the promo.
Nice. Okay. Which is great. I've seen it. It's awesome.
Yeah. It'll be out soon. It'll be out in June.
All right, man.
But
are you gonna show it at the thing that's coming up for Eek as like a special treat, or are you gonna save it for after that?
Oh no, I won't show it there. It's not related to that stuff.
Okay.
And we've had a couple of underground screenings in Hollywood anyway. But no, the reason I'm waiting is because there's a Wild Brain doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So the company that bought him has the rights until June. Anyway,
okay.
so yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can really put... we shouldn't talk about that.
Okay, should I...
We still don't know what's... Yeah.
I'll edit that part out.
Yeah.
Just that it's going to be screening and all that. Okay.
So you can pick up here. It's like, so we shot this great promo, and we hope something really cool happens, folks.
Awesome. Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, again, I loved what I saw, and I'm really psyched because while I'm thinking about it, let's talk about... There is animation in the show, folks, but it's not traditional 2D hand-drawn animation, and it's not CG. It is a whole other monster.
Stop motion.
Original traditional stop motion by none other than...
The Kyoto Brothers.
Yes! Killer Clowns from Outer Space and many other awesome projects. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting one of the Kyoto Brothers at my first Comic-Con.
I thought you were going to say Monster Palooza, because that's usually where they hang out.
Well, they were I went in 2007. I'd never been before, and it was like I was on my way out, and I happened to see this whole station of killer clowns behind the scene, photography, and there were some promo shots. And
well, the Kyotos and I have been trying to work together for I don't know, something stupid like 15 years, maybe 20.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys have been pals for
a long time. A lot of projects we've started that never got made, and so this is very special, and if it goes, it does have a lot of stop motion.
Yes.
A lot of physical effects.
So it's basically...
But the thing about Earth versus, it's not about seeing the wire. That's not the gag.
Yeah.
These are well-crafted effects, but they're done in that old-school, well-crafted way. So it is stop motion with the giant rat's fur crawling. It's going to just look... you're going to look at it and go oh my God, I want to eat that.
Yes, exactly, man. It feels classic.
Yeah.
It feels very traditional and what's been missing from cinema.
And the writing is totally goofy, but it's real and the best way to describe it is the actors in it are just like those guys. They're just like Richard Carlson in Creature from the Black Lagoon. The actors are taking it totally seriously, but they're fighting like a giant squirrel.
Yes, awesome.
It's like that, but they're in it for real.
And that's dude. And those are the best productions where they take themselves very seriously, but they're not serious. The production itself is serious, but the story is very fun and funny. And
what's going on is absurd.
Yeah.
But their reaction is like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We've got to stop it.
What are we going to do? We can't.
Well, clearly we have to drop a bomb on it, and it's like that, but they're just like, but it's not about seeing The Wire or making it look,
cheesy.
Shitty. It's not about that. It's like psychedelic in its craftsmanship. It's like that thorough. It's like,
heck yeah, man.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a real vision, this show.
Dude, I cannot wait. I'm super psyched about it. And
I'm just glad that I could come up with something to follow up the past, 27 years of...
Yes.
And it is the perfect thing to do that with.
It really is, man. And I'm glad you said that, Bill, because, we've kind of been talking, and we've come sort of, it seems like full circle back to, that place where you really just sort of go back to square one and reevaluate and go like you said, what is everyone else not doing?
Or what's compelling me as an artist to want to do this?
What drives me personally?
Yeah, and I think, there's times, and, anybody who's gone through the trip, that me and Savage or whoever, David, anybody that has gone, and it's like, there's always going to be moments where you wonder, like, okay, am I doing this just to make money? Am I doing this? Well, everybody wants to make money, but what do you really at the end of the day, it's like, I just want to entertain my stoned friends. That's really what it is,
Really, and yourself.
It's like, here, guys, look at this.
And yourself, because you have fun with it and you love it and it brings you joy too. It's just like, man, this is insane. And like you said, the wheels are always turning.
And if you've really been diligent and good and really tried really hard, even when you get into a corner like I did, where you're like, what am I going to do now? And I don't want to do what I've been doing. And it's like, man, there's always a way out. There's always something. And if you're having trouble finding it, just look back to where you really started.
Where you really
Not
started.
to where people say you started, but to where you really started. And to me, it was just going back to Nightmare Theater.
Yes, awesome.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to do that.
Perfect.
But now it goes through the filter of years and years of comedy training,
That's awesome, man.
And it is awesome, and I'm just so grateful I even thought of it,
Yeah, man, and it's like, this is such a good, strong message to temporarily wrap up on, guys, because remember, Earth Versus is on the way, and keep your eyes and ears peeled, because, I have a feeling it's going to make a splash when it hits, and it's exciting, and it really doesn't matter, how long it takes, or what you have to go through to get there. As long as you keep the faith and keep doing what makes you happy, you're gonna find that joy in that that happy place again, man. Just like in Song of the South.
And if you've been brave enough to listen to this whole thing too, I think the journey that I took, and Savage and a few of the other people, the business was different then. It is harder now for, back then nobody knew what they were doing, so it was almost like looking back at the Max Sennett comedies, like, so you're Charlie Chaplin. Well, come in here and be funny. It's like, sometimes we were just asked to hurry up and do it, and it just accidentally turned into something.
Yeah. And
it is harder now because, the industry's different. People see that there's money to be made, and that changes everything. And
yeah.
And it is. And I noticed, we were in our, early 20s or mid 20s when we started getting show opportunities.
Cool.
And now a lot of times it doesn't happen until guys are in their 30s and sometimes 40s,
Right, because there's so many...
So don't get discouraged by that either, because the business is different, and it's better in a lot of ways, but and harder in a lot of ways too, but it's like...
Yeah, and
you
that's...
just gotta try to stand out in the crowd. Look at what people aren't doing, and then do that.
Which is much more, and that's always been a good idea, but it's much more valuable advice now because the crowd is so much bigger.
And they're even more discerning though too, because you look back at Eek and it's like, oh, and then you get something like Adventure Time, which turns into a whole layered universe of stuff, and it's like, but I think people are always hungry for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's the studios that have to just allow us to do our thing, and I don't know. I sometimes wonder, these gatekeepers that are in there now. There's not a lot of Margaret Leshes around. There's not a lot of Jeffrey Katzenbergs. There's not a lot of these Spielbergs. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
some of these people you run into. It's like, what made you, as an executive, just compelled to work in the animation field? Really, seriously?
Yeah.
You went to Harvard and you got an MBA, and you just had to make cartoons. You couldn't work for Bank of America, huh?
Right?
And make all of our lives easier.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But anyway, there's some good ones out there. But you gotta just go with that's the environment now, and it just all comes out to, how bad do you want it? How hard are you willing to work? And and your vision of like what makes you different, than anybody else. And don't try to ape this, right? And we all have our influences, but
you make it your own.
Never aping anything.
Yes. And so guys, and here's the thing. If
there's no like, here's the secret, kid.
Right, exactly. It's just, keep the faith, don't let anyone tell you that you're not going to do it or you can't, or it's,
and if they do, then you especially got to do it.
Yeah, right, man. Show them. Prove them wrong. And
Yeah.
so that is a really strong note to end on here, guys. And I want to say
And if they are telling you that, I was just listening to this old Jimi Hendrix interview, and he was talking about, like, when he was in New York before he went to London and they let him do his thing, he was always like, I try to play with these blues guys, and they'd always push him off the stage. It's like, you're no good.
Like, kind of just go on.
Yeah, get out of here. But what,
Wow.
So there you go, kid.
And then now he's Jimi Hendrix, eternal legend, so it's just like, yeah, exactly.
If you're good, your stuff will come out one way or another, as long as you don't give up on it.
Exactly, man. Amen. So, Bill.
How do we wrap all that up?
Well, this has just been
75 years of...
Yeah, exactly, right? This has just been so much fun, man. And I gotta say, just for all the listeners out there, this has been...
You must be awfully tired.
I love this, though, because it's like, my brain is like
We
so
didn't do this all in one... We didn't do it all in one day, folks. It took like 2 weeks.
Oh, totally. Yeah, this is a 4-part epic, an epic extravaganza here that we put together. And we hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it.
I hope you got something out of it that's going to inspire you to keep going. I mean, there were times when, like when all that stuff stopped. I mean, I thought I was done. If you give up on yourself, for sure nothing's going to happen.
Right, exactly. You got to at least keep the faith in yourself because you have the power, you guys. And it's never been. The thing is, as hard and as much as things have changed, it's never been easier with the resources we have technologically speaking. Internet wise, and
yeah, you guys don't have to paint cells anymore.
Exactly, and it's affordable, and a lot of it's free. And now we have crowdfunding platforms where we can actually fund our own projects if we want it bad enough, and we push hard enough, and we invite everyone to be a part of our world.
So make your film.
Yes,
there's no excuse now more than ever.
Yes, make your film, do your project, whatever it is, because we want to see it. And here's the thing. No matter what happens or what anyone says, you did it. And you get to look at your idea and go, now it's real. So on that note, Bill, this has been just so inspiring. I've gotten a ton out of this that I'm going to keep
Me too.
pushing around. And
it was fun going back through memory lane there. It really made me, I feel okay about things now.
Sweet, man. I'm so glad because I feel great and I've loved this journey, dude. It's been amazing and thank you so much. And guys, stay tuned for lots more to come only on the Chance Raspberry podcast.
Good night, folks.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye. Everyone, thank you so much. This has just been the best fun and such a good time, and I really hope you've enjoyed listening to this 4-part interview with your friend and mine, Mr. Bill Kopp, who has just been the coolest guy in just sharing all this wonderful information, wisdom, and experience with us. And the stories, there's just been so many great stories. So thanks again, Bill, and thank all of you guys for listening and tuning in to the Chance Raspberry podcast. Go to chanceraspberry.com to sign up for my newsletter and find out when more great interviews and podcasts are on the way. And you can also get some really fun, cool stuff in the newsletter itself, like links to old cartoons from my private vault of animated horror, discount codes and links to merchandise I create, projects I'm working on, and inside information on the animation industry, entertainment business, and all kinds of other wacky stuff from my crazy imagination. So stay tuned. Thanks so much again, and God bless all you guys. Good night.
Wow.
Wow, man.
That was pretty awesome.
Sweet finale, dude. We did it.
And I got out of Twisted Whiskers without a lawsuit.
Yes. Yes. Perfect ending.